again, it's on.
Black Tsunami.
What's up, G?
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
You're the first contestant.
Again, I don't know what that means, man.
Are you a black man, a Asian man, or African man, or European man, Black Tsunami?
I'm a black man.
All right. So, you're the first black man on the panel. Which is the most intelligent race, Black Tsunami?
You know, the way you have the prompt, you're looking, it almost looks as if they're descriptions or adjectives into one, and it looked like you've already crowned a winner, which I don't agree with.
A winner? There's no winner. There's a trophy there. There's no winner yet.
Yeah, but with images being everything, you have the gold medal winner, the silver, and the bronze. So are you asking which is the most athletic, intelligent, spiritual? Are you asking them separately, or is
They're,
that
they're all separate questions, but one thing is for sure: we have crowned no winner as of yet, Mr. Tsunami. Uh, the gentlemen are standing there as representatives of their particular quote unquote races, and as such, someone has to be on the left or right and in the middle. We can toss coins.
well?
If you notice, no one's holding the trophy. There's
No one is
there's no
holding,
winner as of
but
yet.
the trophy is in front of someone, and it says which is the most intelligent, athletic, spiritual, violent, racist.
Right. We didn't say this is the most, it's which is the most for the game show. So
So
if you would
hold
like to
on.
play in the game show, could you please answer one of the questions? Thank you.
Look, it's not. It's look like it's one question as opposed to which is the most intelligent question mark, athletic question mark, spiritual. So then there would be three or four or whatever different questions.
Mr.
As
Tsunami, we sent you a game show package. You should have read the rules before you came in to the game show lobby. Would you please answer one of the foregoing questions? Thank you very much.
I'm going to choose intelligent.
Okay. For intelligence, who is the most intelligent race?
Going back, I'd have to say the African American race.
African American. Well, they're not that old, so you're saying
Well,
that all the history of
well,
the world.
the African race.
Oh, you want to switch your answer? Okay, well, we'll allow it for the moment. Let's get based inside of the game. Based, welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. We've been asking for it for centuries now, and here it is.
Well, thanks for having me. I'll answer the most racist. I would say that's probably currently African Americans.
Okay, all right. We have one racist for African Americans, not Africans, but African Americans. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
specifically African American.
Now, why would you say that the African Americans are the most racist at this point in time in history?
At this point in time, they're the one the most focused on it. You know, you get a new job, they go, "Oh, this is Kyle," and they go, "What's up, white boy?" Or they say, "As a black woman, I feel like they always
Mm.
have to put racists in the mix."
Mr. Baste, you may have a point there. We may have to give you a point for that. I'm trying to get to my panel to be able to make some sound effects. Give us just a second. We're having some technical difficulties, but you may have a point there. Black Tsunami, what say you? You said that you are a black man, whatever that is. There is no, we don't know where that land is, but you said you're a black man, Black Tsunami. What say you?
I told you. I think if you look back through history and what was given, medicine, engineering, science, astronomy, it would have to be the African race. Period.
What world do you live in, bro?
The
Okay.
one that has you. Okay,
But there's more than one race in Africa. Are you talking about the Arab Egyptians as opposed to the West African blacks?
let's just say, who gave medicine?
White man.
White man. Okay. I'm gonna assume that's wrong side.
That I'm dealing with. We're getting our sound effects together for the game show. If you kind of can just bear with me, but that was a correct sound. Yes, it was.
That was a correct sound.
Yes, it was. It was a sound that was correct for the moment. Is what I'm trying to say. The sound is called awkward.
Awkward.
I think
Yeah.
if you're talking statistically,
1 second, user. We're dealing with two other contestants. We'll bring you right up, user. It's like Jeopardy. 1 second. Go on, Black Tsunami.
So your medicines, your science, your astronomy was all started in a place, and that place wasn't in any land that was Caucasian. Long before the Caucasian man gave us anything, you were given medicines. People were going to Kush, to Kemet, to going to lands, Ethiopia, and learning from them.
So Kemet is Egypt. You're talking about Arabs, not West Africans.
Egypt is Africa. I don't know if you know this.
Africa's a continent with many different races living on it.
And all of
Black
it
Americans came from West Africa, not Egypt.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to give Black Tsunami some applause for history. So right now we're going to go to user 671212. Welcome to the game show, user. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Listen, so we have a spirited award show today. It's the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. We've been wanting it for thousands of years, and now we're here. So what do you think of any of the questions? Who's the most intelligent and or athletic and or spiritual, violent, or racist? You can pick anyone.
Yeah. So I think that the black man would win all of them statistically, except for. I actually probably wouldn't give any race the most intelligent, but I would say we've seen the most innovation from the white man, but I wouldn't say they would be the most intelligent. I don't think.
Okay, we appreciate your answer. We try to be as unbiased as possible on this award show. We appreciate your answer, whether it's correct or not. We do appreciate your contribution. Based, would you agree with user?
No, I would disagree. I would just go off IQ studies that prove Africans are not the most intelligent people.
No, I said that I said I probably wouldn't give that to anyone.
Those IQ studies.
I don't even agree with IQ tests
I think we have to go on like a generality. If you say no race is the most intelligent because there's intelligent people in each race, I would go by like on average, who is on average the most intelligent.
Yeah, but I don't agree with the metric of an IQ test to determine intelligence. I think there's a lot more things that go into intelligence in a standardized test. So,
well, then I would go into world history and say who had ships that could cross oceans while others still lived in mud huts.
So that's why I said
that's racist, bro.
White is probably the most innovative.
How is that racist?
I said white.
You said mud hut. This is Minecraft.
Hold on, digital. It's like Jeopardy. We're going to come around to you, but we're
I got it.
But they did live in mud huts. That's just a fact. I mean, that's a fact. How is that racist to look at history and say this is what happened?
Yeah. So I would say.
I'd say you need to relook at history.
I would say innovative is probably the white man. Intelligent, or educated, I would say, is probably the Asian or the white man. And then I would say I would give every other thing, athletic, spiritual, violent, and racist, all to the black man.
Oh, all right. We appreciate that answer. We want to welcome in a new contestant to the award show. Digital, welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Award.
Race Supremacy, damn man.
Yes,
that's
we are
pretty
here.
deep.
We
That's
have an
pretty deep, man.
illustrious panel here to debate and to get down to the bottom of it. Who wins the Race Supremacy Awards? Finally, we're going to put it into it. So if you could answer any of the 1, 2, 3,
Okay,
4,
I'll
5
answer right now.
questions.
Now that depends on where you live, right? Right?
We're
No?
listening. Well, it's your answer.
No.
It's your answer.
If you're Chinese and you live in China, then who's who's the most supremacist in China?
Well,
The
if you live in
Chinese.
Chinese, I would
The
assume that
Chinese,
the
right?
Chinese are.
That's okay. Now, if you live in America and you're not indigenous to this land, well, then you're just an import, right?
Well, that would
You
be
will be
everybody
correct
except
again.
native.
Hold on. Digital is racking up the points right now. You will be correct again, Digital. Keep going.
Yeah. So if you don't come from this land, you're just an import. Now, we know the Spanish brought the blacks to this land to help colonize this land, right?
I think you might be correct again. Keep going, Digital.
Bro, I know I'm correct. Now, 200 years later, the British brought chattel slavery, right? And now you have all these wabos trying to say that they're indigenous,
Is
right?
wabo a technical term? Hold on.
Yeah,
We
what
need
does
to
that
look
mean?
at
Wabo is
is
want
that
to be
racist
indigenous,
term.
want to be aboriginal. Wabo,
Are you indigenous?
want to be aboriginal.
I think
Are
is
that
that like Vanilla
defines
Ice?
you because
Oh,
you're
I'm sorry.
Spanish,
Okay.
are you not?
Am I Spanish? I'm 30% Spanish.
Okay, so you're a colonizer. You're not
No,
indigenous.
I'm 30%.
What else are you?
52%
You a Wabo then?
indigenous.
You're 32% Wabo.
Hold on. Something that anybody that's Hispanic has
Anybody
a
who's
lot of
Hispanic.
indigenous in them.
Anybody who's Hispanic. Fuck Palestine, fuck Israel.
I'm backing you up, you clown.
Down here. We got a Wabo that needs to go.
Okay, hold on. We were
Fuck
getting
Palestine,
off to a
fuck
good
Israel.
start here.
Fuck Russia, fuck China.
So you don't like Israel or Palestine or China
Or Russia.
or Russia?
Yeah.
Now, what have those particular nations done to offend you?
They fucking the PSYOP bullshit.
PSYOP.
Yep.
Does America do any PSYOP operations?
Yeah, of course we do.
Okay. All right. Well, you hold on, Digital. Listen, we want to try to keep it clean. I know it's a volatile topic. It's a volatile award show, but we're going to try to get to the bottom of this.
Who's the most athletic, spiritual, violent, racist, right?
Sure.
Right. Who are you?
And then you started
Who
screaming
are
about
you, bro?
foreign countries.
Who's the host?
Who's the host of what?
What's your opinion? I need to know the host's opinion.
You need to know the
host
show's opinion. Is what you're saying? I'm sorry. Say it again.
The host opinion.
You mean my opinion?
Duh.
It's a little early to be so drunk, bro.
That wouldn't be my name. I am the host of the award show. And as such, Digital, I'm going to have to be respected. It's a volatile topic, but I'm only asking questions.
Hey, man, you're going to get volatile with
Hold on, Digital. If the question bothers you, then, that might be a you thing. But I'm going to move on to America Alone. How are you? Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards.
Well, I love the topic.
Let's build and feed this country, okay?
Okay, so what we're going to have to do is the most rude ethnicity.
We build and feed this country.
The most rude ethnicity is the one that Digital Bean is from, clearly. Okay, America, if you could answer the questions for us a la Jeopardy.
Yeah, so I would a la Jeopardy. Do I have to put it in the form of a question?
There's different categories.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, I would redefine race to not mean the color of your skin or where you were, your ancestors were from, but which nation you're currently in. So I would say there's the American race, there's a French race, there's a Russian race, because I think your nationality is more important than, your DNA and your heritage and all that. And so I would say Americans are the most racist. Americans are the most violent. Americans are the most spiritual, most athletic, most intelligent. just completely Americans win this award.
All
So
right.
that's sort of my perspective.
All right. We appreciate it. You hang out. Stay on the board for a second. Let me go to Kev. Kev,
Hey,
how
what's
are you,
going on?
Kev? Welcome to the
Nice.
first annual Race Supremacy Awards, Kev.
Okay.
What do
All
you
right.
think about the question, man? We're playing it like it's Jeopardy. So pick a topic and go for it.
Okay. What's the first one is the most violent?
Oh, that's not the first one, but you can go with that if you like.
All right, I'll go with the most violent. I think the European is the most violent. If you look
Now, why would you say that? What brings you to that conclusion?
conquest, conquest of the continent of Africa, conquest of the United States, and the almost eradication of the indigenous people there. Uh, Current moves throughout the Middle East.
Now,
I
based,
mean,
let
when
me
you
ask
think
you a
about
question.
and
Let me cross-reference you based with
Japan,
Kev's answer. Would you say that the European is the most violent based?
I'd say we have the most capability for violence, but if Africans had access to the ships and the guns and the availability to commit violence, I would say it's on them. And when I get on the subway, it's not Kevin I'm worried about committing violence, it's Jamal.
Wow. All right.
my
Okay.
name is actually Kevin, but I see where you're going
Oh,
with that.
He sees what you did there. He sees
Proving
what you
my
did
point.
there.
no, that was
So,
accidental, but I like it.
But okay, so the fact is that most people are dangerous to their own community, right? But when you look at the world stage, when you look at genocide and eradication of entire groups of people and bloodlines, who's done that more than anybody else?
Well, if they had a recorded history, I would say it was the African tribes against each other.
So
2025 Africa is more violent than 1870s America was.
that wasn't even his question.
oh, we have a new contestant, Pomegranate. Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We play this like Jeopardy. You can pick a particular topic and go for it. We're listening.
Um, the for the prompt, I think the most intelligent is Asian, the most athletic is black, the most spiritual is Asian, the most violent is white, and the most racist is white.
Well, that was she ran that off, fellas. She was the most dominant in her answering. Maybe women are the most dominant. Would you say? I don't know. Is that a thing? Uh, American, what do you have to say about what Pomegranate offered?
I mean, I'm not denying that there's DNA differences and maybe there's trends, and I would agree with Pomegranate on those trends, but I think that being American overrides pretty much all of those, because we're trained, we're educated, right? So we're more intelligent than the rest of the world. From an early
What
age,
is
we're all
American? What makes you American, if I can ask?
citizenship.
We're not
And
more
so we're more
intelligent than the
athletic.
rest of the world.
We grow up
If they
trained
took
in sports.
350 million Chinese people and replaced the American population and gave them all a piece of paper that said, you're American now, within a year or two, do you think it would resemble China or it would just continue on exactly as American?
Well, America's not. America has this idea of immigration, but limited and legal, so that they can become American instead of taking
Yeah,
over
but
our
if the
country, right?
people don't matter, would it matter if all the people were Chinese? Would they not lose all that Chinese culture and become American because they got a piece of
But
paper
better.
saying they're American?
The one below me, you could go shut your bitch ass up and never talk. Shut that shit up. Shut that shit up, bitch ass nigga. Shut that shit up, bitch ass nigga.
All right, the most ignorant. I don't know. She was Native
Uh,
American. Maybe she was Native American. That might be a play for most ignorant. Go on, American.
well, I'm just saying, we grow up in America, right? And we're educated. We do sports. We go to church. We play video games where we blow, heads off of, digital, people. And God, racist. I mean, we're getting less racist. I hope, but I think that that's determined on whether or not we see ourselves as American first,
Well, I don't know,
as
American. We
opposed
just
to
had someone call you a bitch ass nigger. Would that be considered racist? I don't know.
We are a pretty racist country, yeah, but we're
Yeah,
working
yeah.
I
on it.
mean,
We're
I'm
working on it.
confused because this isn't the first annual Nationality Supremacy Award. This is the first annual Race Supremacy Award.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
that's true. Yeah,
Yes, it
that's
is.
true. I mean, and like I said, Pomegranate, I think your analysis is probably correct, but I'm just saying that our differences when it comes to race are less than, what we're united on as Americans, if we just accept it.
Not really.
Well, what say you, Pomegranate?
Oh, I just disagree with that statement.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's get some new contestants on the board
I don't
and
think us
get
being
some more
American
thoughts.
overrides the racial differences.
Okay, well, it looks like we have an authentic melanated man in the room now. Tyreek, welcome to the first Race Supremacy Awards.
Yo, what's good?
What do you think about the question?
I think the most intelligent, yeah, black wins. We win in all categories, I ain't gonna lie. We got that.
So you're saying that quote unquote black folk win in every category.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about how blacks are the most racist. Oh, okay. I guess he had to
He didn't get that far in the
get
list.
to another show. Okay. Let's bring someone else up, guys, really quick. Zay,
What's going on?
you are the next contestant on the Race Supremacy Awards. How are you?
I'm good, man. This is interesting.
Great, man. So, what race are you, if I can ask?
Black American.
I would have never guessed it. What do you think about the question, Zay?
I get mistaken for Asian sometimes. But
Oh, all right.
I would say intelligence, I would go with Asian. Athletic, I would go with black. Spiritual, I'll go with Native Americans. And violent and racist, I probably have to go white.
Oh, okay. Why would you say that whites are the most violent?
You got the Crusades, you got benefit to the Jewish, you got just a lot of historical examples.
Okay. And you said the most intelligent was who?
Yes.
Asians. Why would you say that the Asians are the most intelligent?
There's evidence to like to say purely that they're most intelligent, but I think they kind of reach for the academic standard more than most races. You know,
All right. Black Tsunami, are you there, Black Tsunami? Black Tsunami, are you there? Okay, I guess the Black Tsunami's not there anymore. Black Tsunami going once, going twice. You're about to. Oh, you're back. Okay, you're about to lose your spot on the panel, buddy. Okay.
Ain't no spot I'm gonna lose.
What do you think about what Zay said? Were you able to hear what he said about the Asians and them being the most intelligent? How do you feel about that?
I didn't hear about it. Everybody gonna have their opinion based off of, I don't know, whether it be their environment, what they see, who they connect with. So it's a dog chasing his tail. We're gonna run around in circles, and in the end, who's to say who's the most intelligent, who's more violent? I mean, you can look, and if you actually open your eyes and see what people's history has done, then you get a clear picture. But if you don't do that, you just spouting opinions, not based on facts.
Well, it is opinionation. This game show is being held by opinionation. Shameless plug.
So
Okay, let's go to
Can I?
Hannah. Hannah, are you there, Hannah?
Yes, I'm
Hello,
here.
Hannah. Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. What say you about the questions?
Can I pass you over to someone else in the room?
I don't like being passed around, Hannah. Not that kind of guy, Hannah.
Hannah has an opinion. She wants to tell you. You can go.
I'm gonna thank you for your
Okay, okay.
opinion, okay? Thank you.
Most intelligent Asians.
Okay.
Most athletic black people. Spiritual. I'd say black people. Violent. I feel like it's a tie between possibly white people, black people, and then racist. That's going to the whites.
Hannah, you have won a special bonus today, which actually gives you nothing, but you won a bonus for some of the most correct answers.
Yeah,
Thus far.
she got all of them right.
Just about. Just about.
Thank you.
Kev, are
Well,
you there,
except for
Kev?
spiritual, maybe she got the spiritual
You
one
said,
wrong in my opinion.
Kev, what do you
I'm saying
think
you
about
called it.
Hannah's answers, Kev?
Um, I feel like it's pretty close to accurate.
Okay. Based,
I look at
based.
it.
What say you, based as our European champion? What say you?
I was just going back to I think it was Zay talked about the Crusades. People vaguely mention historical things where violence happened, but they don't get into the details of like 80% of the Crusades were fought in Europe against Muslim invasion, where the Muslims did such horrible things. I can't even say it TikTok friendly to not get the live in trouble about what they did. So you can throw things out, oh, the Crusades, this, that, but usually it's just meaningless anti-white hate, and I think that gives
Yeah,
a point to the blacks for being the most
so
racist.
I mean, it's
okay.
not meaningless. It is
So
history.
can I address that?
Sure, Kev. Go on.
Okay. So when you talk about the Holocaust, is that just hate against white folks?
I think that's made up nonsense too, and people need
White
to learn their
people were
history on
not the
that.
only people
Right.
in those camps.
Okay. Okay. So when you talk about chattel slavery, is that made up nonsense too?
Well, if you compare it to Barbary slave trade, where what the blacks did to the whites was far, far worse, or
What?
modern day slavery, where the blacks still have a slave trade in 2025 that's bigger than anything you're comparing it to right now.
Wait, you think Barbary was worse than chattel?
Yeah, they literally emasculated men, cutting off their private parts, put them on ships, chain them to the ships, and forced them to roll
That
until they
happened
died.
in chattel.
So that exact same
Metal,
thing
you
happened in
got
chattel
paid.
slavery.
We also had the exact same thing that you just said happened in Barbary. The exact same thing happened in chattel. We also had the black
That's
man
not
being.
true.
We also had the black man being demasculated by buck breaking.
That's a
Literally
fetish, weird woke thing.
graping them in front of
No racist
of
white
their
man is gonna
families.
molest a black man.
Yeah,
They
graping them
killed
in
white people back then. They
graping
didn't
them
become them.
in front of their wives and their children.
You saw that on BET with some nonsense.
Why would that be on
BET,
BET?
one of our
So
most
why would
historical
why would
news
that be on
channels.
BET?
BET.
So everything else is
They put all the
convenient.
wannabe victim stuff. That's where you see your color purple, your roots, all that fake nonsense.
So it's
Okay,
all fake.
what I just said isn't even on BET.
Oh, I'm sure it
Okay.
is.
Let's bring in
But
another
I just don't
contestant, ladies
understand
and
how these
gentlemen.
racist white men are wanting to sleep with black men.
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
That's what buck breaking is. It's rape, raping men.
Yeah, buck
Yes.
breaking was for the purpose of demasculating the black man.
Yeah, I don't know any racist white man that's eager to go get up in a black man's cheeks.
Yeah, based. We weren't talking about nowadays. We were talking about the difference between Barbary and chattel.
Yeah, that didn't happen in Channel.
It did.
Yes, it did. It absolutely did happen.
Okay, let's go to Stone Cold if we can. Stone Cold, are you there, Stone?
Yes, sir, I am.
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Award, Stone.
Very happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
We're glad to have you here. What do you think about the questions a la Jeopardy? You can take any question you like, any topic.
I'm going to go across the board, but I'm going to go a little different on it.
All right.
So, intelligent, I'm going to give it to the Asians. Athletic, I will definitely give it to black folk. Spiritually, I would give it to Southern Americans. Violent and racist, this is going to go two categories. I would say the Arabs. Had hands in all of the slave trades. They have committed 57,000 T attacks over the last 10 years. We can go numbers for numbers on that. When it comes to violence and racism on their part, they took the T.
Arabs, that's the first time they were brought up.
Yeah, the Arabs weren't brought up yet. I had to bring them in.
Is
They
everyone
had dark
correct, or
horse.
you just like using that buzzer?
Arab and South American are not racist.
Black Tsunami, don't
Okay.
question my point system, please. If you mind staying in your
I
black
gotta
position.
question your point system. Everybody can't be right
Why not?
because then it's just opinions and not facts.
It's called opinionation, Black Tsunami.
What it's called and
I
what it
mean,
is, again, I've said before, it's called opinionation, but not wrong opinion.
I mean,
I mean,
I'll
all
say
of
most
all of
emotional
like
goes to black people.
every
Most
single one of
male
my
proves they're
assessments
the
were based on facts. I don't have opinions in this discussion.
I mean, listen, all of it is like intelligent. No one's naturally intelligent. Like, again, I said Asians just because they said that they go for a certain standard. I don't think Asians are naturally smarter than you. You know what I'm saying? It's
Well,
Okay.
okay, yeah, some people are naturally smart and some people are not. I only say Asian because, for one, they have the highest IQ test scores internationally. But I will say IQ test scores are a little bit skewed only because, like, you have people who have learning disabilities, you have people who are dyslexic, right? Then the results are going to be a little bit skewed. They're not going to show exactly how smart you are. They also, like you said, they have higher standards for education.
they push academia higher.
So you say that though, but then at the same
That's
time you say
literally
the
what I
Arabs
just said,
aren't.
Scribble.
But then you say the same thing. You say Arabs aren't violent and racist, but they're the biggest colonizers on the face of the planet.
I actually did
Not
not say
history.
that. I said Arab is not a race.
Oh.
Arab people cannot be. Oh, okay.
Oh.
They're Asian.
Oh, we're going that. We're going that route. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's
I
their
like it.
race. There's
I
not
like
a
it.
route. That's literally what their race is.
Let's get a new contestant in. Superman, are you there? Are you Superman? Are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. What
Happy to
say
be here.
you about the questions?
All right. Now, intelligent, obviously, a little racist, obviously, but I'm gonna go towards Asian people. They got that down. That's what they're known for. Athletic. Now, I'm gonna say black people, but I'm not gonna say African Americans. I'm gonna say real Africans because they've been doing this shit for the longest time. Spiritual, low key underrated, but I gotta go with Asians again. The type of stuff
Asians
that
for the
they be
win. Go
saying
on.
and doing due to like everything they've learned over the years, like all the all those Japanese myths. You can't say that they're not spiritual. They try everything to avoid getting caught up. I can agree with that. Violent is kind of an ass pull, but I'm gonna say Mongolians just due to what they've done back in the day. You know what I mean? And racist, objectively, anybody in Asia, because have you ever seen those videos of black people go into Asia and just getting stared at and shit like that? You know what I mean? Like they
I
do.
don't, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like they've just never seen a black person before, and honestly, I don't think they have. So actually, you know what? I wouldn't say that's racism. I say that it's more of like curiosity. So I'll have to go white people because like I don't know much about other like how people are treated in other countries, but I know how people are treated here. So I'm gonna have to go white people.
Okay. Stone Cold, are you there, Stone Cold?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about Superman's answers?
They're fine. I mean, it's his opinion.
Yeah, see, there you go. Black Tsunami, you need to take a couple cues from Stone Cold, man.
And why is that?
Because he's letting it flow, man. You know, it's a game show. It's a game show. It's not a reality show. It's a game show. All right, let's set someone else in the room. Let's get some more banter going on.
Reality, not a game.
But he was definitely right when he said Asians are the most spiritual. That's 100% factual.
To say
How do you
that
measure
alone is an
spirituality?
opinion-based thing. You can't say that's factual.
Natives got
How do you
everybody
measure
beat.
something,
Okay,
someone's
so
spirituality?
what does spiritual mean?
Oh, so
How do you measure it
Yeah.
among
Okay,
How do you
races?
measure it? Go that
one
aspect. How do you
person at a
measure someone's
time. Damn, calm
spirituality?
down. One person at a time.
How do you measure someone's spirituality? That's a great
And
question.
just answer what spirituality is first.
I don't have a dictionary in front of me. I can't give you an
Okay,
exact
so it's
definition.
just believing in something higher than yourself. So if
Okay,
we
so
if we see
Asians across
if
the
we see
board
hold on, hold on,
believe in
hold on.
more than
I'm
everyone.
literally still speaking. So if we see
That's fantastic.
Sikhism,
I'm
hold
talking to you.
on. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to speak. Okay, so if we see Sikhism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, all of these things within Asian culture, and all of these things also have, or most of these things also have multiple different beings that they believe are higher than them alone, just in one of these religions, each of them, then they obviously would be more spiritual.
That sounds
That
good.
sounds all nice, but I
You're
disagree
saying
with what you're
if
saying.
you're saying if it's more people, if it's more African people or people of African descent
There's
with
not.
diverse beliefs, wouldn't that make them more spiritual?
No. So
Why not?
like I said, there are more Asian religions than any other continent, and also within each of these religions, they believe
There's
in.
probably thousands of African
Hold on,
religions.
What
base.
is
Hold
this
on.
based
No,
on? What?
I'm
see,
still
see,
speaking.
you're doing
I'm
what
still
Bates was
speaking though.
talking about earlier.
You can respond to me when I'm
Yeah,
done.
that's
It's
fantastic.
okay.
You've been
Please calm
talking the whole
down.
time. You've been
Please
talking the
calm
whole time.
down. You can respond to me when I'm done.
You're taking the
You
whole
can respond
continent and using
because
that as the
somebody
entire
asked me
race.
a question, so I'm answering it. You can respond to me when I'm done.
Okay, okay.
So
It's a
yeah,
conversation,
so
not a
yeah,
speech, honey.
if we see Asia has the most religions of any other continent, and each of these religions, for the most part, have multiple different higher beings, and we know that spirituality is just the belief in something higher than yourself, then the logical implication is that Asians are more spiritual.
You know, you can even throw
Man, you're
Egyptians in there.
smart. You know your stuff.
There's a lot of ifs in that sentence, though.
She's doing the
He had the
continental
most
race
I didn't
aspect,
even
like
say
what you
if.
were talking about based
He
earlier
said if about four
with
times.
Africa.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't like speculative. That's actually the facts.
Okay,
Yeah, what
ladies
she
and
said
gentlemen,
was
But
let's
I'll
fine,
get
and
a
pound
I'm
all
just
of
glad
them.
she
contestant.
just couldn't put it into words.
Hold on
All right.
one second,
So
ladies
my
and gentlemen.
question.
Let's get a new contestant into the panel. Margella, are you there, Margella?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome to the first race
Hey, can you
supremacy
invite my
award.
friend? Two of my friends on here.
I'm sorry.
Can you invite two of my friends on here?
Did they get the email and the package to come
Yeah,
into the
they're on here
show?
right now. They're on here right now. Invite DM Tears.
I could drop
So
out to let new people
which
in.
Margella, which race should we drop to be able to get your friends on? Just curious.
Just drop whoever's not talking.
So would you say drop Stone Cold or Superman or Base? Who should we drop?
Just drop whoever's been here the longest. Like just
Base, would you agree with something like that?
or just
Well,
drop
just to keep
that.
it
Drop
even, I
Stone.
think we got a lot more non-whites than whites, but I have been on the longest, so it depends on how you want to go about it.
I would argue you need to drop.
I
Who
mean,
said you need to
if he's
drop?
the only white T person on the panel, he should stay.
I agree.
Alright, that's fine. Just drop I guess Stone then.
Should we drop
I'll
Black Tsunami?
volunteer
Black
to drop.
Tsunami's rather black. Should we drop him?
Well my
Yeah,
friend is
he's
black,
one of
so
the black
Listen,
my
ones on the
friend is
panel.
black, so
I'll
yes.
volunteer to drop if you need,
Okay. David,
Oh.
request
because I
David.
have to mentally get ready for
Alright,
something.
invite his
Well,
name
Black
is
Tsunami, you
DM
stick around.
Tears.
You stick
Well,
around, Black
no,
Tsunami.
you know what we got to do later.
Invite DM Tears. His name is DM Tears. DN
I'm gonna
Tears.
jump out, man.
Invite
Okay.
him.
Okay.
His name is Dion Tears. He's requesting.
Denim Tears.
There
is
we
what
go.
it says.
Hey, David, we got it, man. We got in this thing.
Hello, how you
Mr.
doing?
Tears?
David,
Mr.
yeah,
Tears?
David, we did it, man. We got in it.
My
Mr.
name is David.
Tears, are
What's
you
going on
there?
here?
Hey, David, invite Matt. Invite Matt.
Hey, guys, if you want to have a personal conversation, you can have it over in West Hollywood. Mr. Tears, are you there?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards.
I'm sorry, what?
Are you with us, Mr. Tears?
Yes.
Well, welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards.
I appreciate you having me on.
Okay, well, we're going to go with your friend first. Margella, now that you have your buddy on, what do you think about the questions?
I think it's an interesting topic. You know, I've been through a lot of topics last year. I used to go live every day. You can tell Tears. I would do topics like not like this, but like I would do some interesting topics. But this is an interesting one I've seen like throughout TikTok lives. You know, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, why don't you take on one of the questions for us?
Okay. The first one, intelligent. In my opinion, I think that's Asians. Stats show it. Athletic, definitely black, especially like when it comes to NFL, NBA, and then spiritual. As a Native American myself, I'm definitely going for Native American. And then violent, I gotta say white tea people. And then racist, I'm gonna go with Hispanics in my personal experience.
Hispanics is the most racist. That's one of the first answers we've got for Hispanics.
Well, I'm Mexican
Hispanics
Native
is a good
American,
pull.
so
I'm not gonna hold you.
I'm mixed. So I'm Mexican Native American, so I know from my personal experience, Hispanics can definitely be like the racist people. Trust me.
Now,
Not
what
all
does
of
that
us are
look
Yeah.
the,
like? What does
So
that
not
look
all
hold
of
like?
on.
us are the
Is
same
it
race though.
northern? Is it
What?
northern Native American or like Southern American Native
Hold
My
on,
Native
American?
American
Mr. Scribble.
Pueblos in Mexico and New Mexico
Mr.
and
Scribble,
Arizona.
1 second,
So
Mr.
it's
Scribble
close
will
to
be
like
coming to you.
the Apache.
But when you say Hispanic, not all of us are the same race.
Oh, pomegranate.
Excuse me?
Okay.
Are you
Wait.
Hispanic,
Hey, why
pomegranate?
did you leave? No, why did he leave?
Hey, Margella, can I say
No.
something on the
David,
Native
join
Americans
back.
aspect of being spiritual?
David, join back. Invite my friend again. I
Your
don't know why
friend
he left.
dropped. Your friend dropped out of the running to become
David,
America's
join
next top
back.
model.
Oh my gosh.
So
What were you saying?
Superman has a question for you, Margella.
Yeah. Oh, he has to get ready for work. Damn. Hey, are you gonna do this again, Opinion?
We will have another annual show.
All right, I'll
But
follow you.
Superman has a
David,
question
follow this
for you.
guy and invite Matt next time. Anyways, yeah, Super.
Okay. So I understand Native Americans are very spiritual, but the reason I wouldn't put them up there as the most spiritually is because, like, no disrespect, but they're not composed to like a large area. It's mainly throughout the United States. You know what I mean?
That's not true, actually. We're all over South America and Central America and the Caribbean.
Okay, that's something
Okay,
I
so
didn't know.
then
Thank you for telling me
they're
that.
native to somewhere else. But you said Native Americans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
but Americans
So
is all American continent, though.
Okay, so you're talking
yeah.
about you're talking about South Americans. They wouldn't
No, all
necessarily.
of us, all Native Americans are in the American continent. Here before everyone else.
Somewhere? Like, why are you the only native?
What do you mean?
Native
What makes
American.
you a native? Born in a place?
Well,
I was
I'm
born in a place.
native. I'm mixed. I'm Mexican Native American. I'm mostly
What is a
native
native?
though. I'm mostly
Why are you
native
the
though.
people on Earth that are native to Earth? Like,
Well, Mexican
aren't
is
Africans native to African and Europeans native to Europe?
Yeah, it's basically Europe. Yeah, basically.
I'm
And then they
confused.
all
Are you native to America? Wait, hold on.
Yes, my
Okay,
ancestors
continue.
mean yes, I am. Yes, I live. Even though I live in New York, but I
well,
am
some of your
native.
ancestors know.
What?
Some of your ancestors know. Some of your ancestors.
Scribble, 1
It's still
second. We're
part of
running
his
a
What do you
game
mean?
show,
Oh, my
Scribble.
bad,
Still
my
part
1
of his
bad.
second.
bloodline. Why
I'll
are you
come to you,
ignoring his
Scribble.
bloodline? Huh? I'm so many people talking at once.
I think
Sorry, continue.
they gotta understand that they're only called Native Americans because the white Americans took them. land. If that didn't happen, then they wouldn't be called Native.
Facts. No, we're native because we've been here before everyone else.
No, I
Right,
get
but
you, but as
Zay
far
is talking about the label Native American.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean that's what we're called. I mean that's what our race is. So I
That's
mean.
the first fact that was said on it.
Okay, let's let a new contestant in. The Scribble, are you there?
Of course.
Welcome to the first Race Supremacy Awards. How are you?
I'm living life.
All right then. What do you think about the questions? Can you pick a question and or all of them?
Yeah, which is the most intelligent, athletic, spiritual, violent, racist? I think the answer is all of the above, and it just depends on exactly what kind of intelligence you're talking about, what kind of athleticism you're talking about, what kind of spirituality, what kind of violence, and what kind of racism. But every single group of people shows traits of all of this, and they're usually about equal to each other. When a
Mr.
white
Scribble, it sounds like you're in a pageant. It sounds like you're in a pageant right now. We're trying to get some specifics. Yeah, you know. That was
Yeah,
somewhat
so
of a pageant answer.
I don't want to make hasty generalizations. Really, that's all it is.
Okay, well, who would win in a sprint? The European, the Asian, or the African?
Who would win in the what?
What's the distance?
African.
What's the
Depends
Hey,
on
distance?
the
this guy
person.
says that we came from Asia. No, we didn't. Who told you
Regardless of
that?
distance.
I'm sorry. Who would win in the what? I didn't hear
A
that.
That
sprint.
matters
A
in this
sprint.
question.
A sprint.
Depends on the person. If I'm being completely
This
honest,
man doesn't know what he's talking about in the comments.
What's
Walt,
the what's
Walt,
the
hold on
distance?
1 second,
Why would
Walt.
y'all come up if your answer is it depends on the person?
I don't mean this in a racist way, but most
no,
likely
I
East
have an
African
answer to a
tribesmen,
different question.
like
That wasn't why
they
I
do
came
this shit
up,
for
by the
years
way.
and years. They're not gonna lose in the sprint.
Nation,
Say it
what's the
again,
distance?
Superman.
Sorry, what'd you
Say it
say,
again,
Superman?
Superman.
I would not in a racist way, but I would honestly say tribesmen because at the end of the day, it depends on what they've been doing all their life. And if you got someone out there who's been hunting these big ass animals who can run almost 30 miles an hour on land and killing them, you can't tell me that they're not going to win in a sprint against any other race that you put them up against. You know what I mean?
Is the average indigenous person doing that nowadays? Even though at one point we wiped out all of their like natural food resources, so they're not generally having to go out and do the same things that they used to do in early America.
Uncolonized Africa, they're still living the exact same way. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I was asking him about indigenous
where they're just doing their own thing. I feel like nobody's really going to be able to beat them. And I mean, if it's just a sprint, like timed, or is it untimed?
Ethiopians are usually the best at long distance. Like literally.
Well, what I'm asking is, what's the distance that matters? If the distance
okay.
Superman, was your answer Native Americans or Africans?
Oh, Africans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say Africans as well.
I thought you said Native Americans.
Oh no, definitely not.
Let me allow a new contestant in, guys. Waltz, are you there, Waltz?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. What do you think about the questions, man?
I think I would say the most violent race is the Europeans, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
The Europeans?
Yeah, bro.
Sounds like a lot of recency bias.
Like, nah, I'm not trying to be racist. See, that's why I didn't want to come up here and get.
You said recent.
Like, there's different answers for all these questions. Like, I would say athletic. It's gonna sound racist, but I would say Africans. It's just the shit they do out there, bro. Intelligent, I would say Asians. They smart as shit. Spiritual. I don't have an answer to that one. But the human race is the best race, bro. We shouldn't be separated by none of this shit, to be honest.
Stone Cold.
We're not even the best species.
I noticed something, Stone Cold. Hold on, guys.
We're not the best species, but we're the highest in the food chain right now. So
Waltz, hold on 1 second, Waltz. Hold on 1 second. Stone Cold, I noticed something. Are you there, Stone Cold?
Yes, sir.
I noticed that when he mentioned quote unquote white, you kind of barked back at that. But when he mentioned the other races, you didn't say anything. Like, what was that about?
I mean, that's a great point. But the point I was making is when I said that is that the violent on the white aspect or the Europeans is very much recency bias. Most recent of violence. You're ignoring the rest of history when you do that. That was my point.
Okay.
I got a point on that when it's my turn.
What's up, Base? Go on.
Well, I just like to show like a lot of when they say the whites are the most violent, it's conquest, it's war, it's battles, it's conquering. But I want to talk about just street violence, day-to-day violence. Like, what race is most likely to attack you if you're walking down the street? And who's the most civilized race?
You're more likely to be attacked by the race that's like most in the area. So if you live in a white populated area, you're going to be attacked more than likely by a white person. If you live in a black populated area, you're more than likely going to be attacked by a black person.
that's debatable. That's debatable. We know the truth.
I'm
Let's just speak the truth. Let's stop beating around the bush.
What she's saying is true.
You're most likely to get captured by a black person, bro. Let's just stop beating around the bush.
Let's not lie on that.
Real quick.
Literally happens by
I'm black
proximity.
myself, and I know that's the truth.
Hold on,
Can I say this real quick? Just real quick. Let me say something.
That's 100% true.
Go on, Jay.
I feel more safe. I feel more safe in Compton than going down to like North Florida or South Georgia. So
yeah, but do you have any like statistics or reality to back that up, or are you just uncomfortable around white people?
No, I've lived in certain areas where I've seen things, and I know that I lived in the hood. I've also lived in North and South Georgia, and I felt way more safe in the hood than I did in South Georgia.
I would say,
that's a feeling. I'm talking about facts.
Is Zay talking? He's super quiet.
I mean, it would be like feelings and facts, right? Like I feel way more safe in a black populated neighborhood, but I'm also I'm more likely to be attacked in a black populated neighborhood than a white. But that's just because I'm black.
Let
If I was
me
white, if I was white, it would be a
let me
different
throw a
story.
new question to the panel.
Wait,
If
so if
I
you were
could,
white, you're
one
saying
second, guys.
you
One
wouldn't be
second, guys.
attacked in a black neighborhood? That's what you're saying?
No,
One
I'm saying
second, guys. One
I'm saying
second,
if I
guys.
was white, I'd be more likely to be attacked in a white area.
Hey, one thing that can happen. If you guys hear me talking,
What?
I need you to mute up. If you hear me talking, I need you to mute up. So I have something I want to offer to the whole panel. I want to ask this. We can get a consensus about this. Who does the most school shootings in America?
White
White
people.
people.
Jewish
White
people.
That's like
people. Not even an
objectively
argument.
just white people.
White people.
Jewish people.
Oh my
And
goodness.
if you look at the schools that have metal detectors in the hallway and gun violence right outside the school, it's going to be your Malcolm X, not your George Washington.
I mean, yeah,
What's
they're
that supposed to
putting.
mean?
I would
So
say they're putting
Yeah,
the metal detectors in the
Who
wrong
was
neighborhoods,
first?
right? So like
so based are you
in
saying
black populated areas, violence is an after school activity. But in white populated areas, the what is it? The metal
Is
detectors
it
should
really? You
be.
think so?
so
Yes.
based? Let me ask you a
I know
question, guys.
plenty of
Hold on, guys.
I know
Hold on, guys. Hold on,
no
guys. Let me
black
ask
people
Base the
Where are
question.
gun
these
right
facts
outside.
coming from, though? That's what I want to know.
1 second, guys. I want to ask Base the question. Base, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Would you? So you're saying that there's not a lot of school shootings done by the European child? No.
No, I'd say it's predominantly a Jewish problem, and a big subcategory of
Jewish.
it is when a white kid shoots up a school. You don't have a Carmelo Anthony situation where people are paying him money, where they're saying, "Oh, look how bad they treated him when they
He
arrested
didn't shoot
him."
up the school. That's not even comparable.
He stabbed a kid in the school.
Okay, so compare a white school
The most
shooting to a
recent
black.
school shooting
Wait,
was
base,
black.
base.
Nobody's talking about
I'm
that,
just saying
right?
if you want to make
Hey,
a
didn't you take
comparison.
the Parkland shooter
Why is
to,
everybody
to
talking at the
Burger
same
King or
time?
whatever?
Base, I'm just saying
After
if
the
you're gonna make
same
a
shit?
comparison, make sure that it's parallel. Compare a white shooting to a white mass shooting to a
Okay,
black mass shooting.
black mass shooter from
But
this
black
month. Have you
people
heard
shoot up
anything
schools
on
and
the news?
neighborhoods all the time, bro.
I
You can't
know,
forget
Matt. I
that.
know, Watts. I'm just telling him to make that comparison.
Okay, and I'm asking you for a third time. There was a black mass shooting this month. Is he all over the news? Is everybody talking about him?
I
That's
mean,
why they think it's
I'm
a
not
white
even sure who you're
man.
talking
They never
about.
report on the
People
black
shoot things up
crime.
all the time.
Kind
Who
of
are
the
you
point he's
talking
making.
about?
So when it's a white kid, it's a horrible problem. But when it's a black kid, oh, they shoot up things.
What are you talking about? I'm asking you, what is the case?
There was a black mass shooter in a school just this
Yeah,
month
I'm
who
asking
killed
you
8
what the
kids.
case is. Where, who, like what? Where? Who?
Exactly. You don't know anything about it. You haven't heard anything about it.
I'm
That goes to
asking
show you
you.
why
I'm
you think
agreeing.
it's
I'm
a white
asking you,
problem.
Base.
People
Tell us
don't
about it,
report on the
Base.
black problem.
Base, you
Tell
could
us
be
about it, Base.
Based. You know that there's been more than one mass shootings done by a black person. I'm asking you what you're specifically talking about.
I just saw a
Race.
clip of it this month.
Are you
I
lying?
don't know. Maybe you can look it up. I think it was Georgia Tech.
Based, what I'm trying to tell you is if I look it up, I can get like 30 results. I'm asking what you're talking about specifically. What case are you talking about? Do you know the name? Do you know the school? Do you know the state? Because I'm not sure what exactly you were referring to.
Are you lying,
Yeah,
based?
I'm gonna go ahead and open up
Like
this box so somebody else
I'm
can
not
talk.
trying to tell you that this
So
doesn't happen. I'm just asking what you're talking about.
On here on TikTok.
I'm not telling you that this isn't happening, based because
Host, I'll join back whenever we do other topics, and
Okay, Marcella.
hopefully my friend will join too. I'm gonna invite 2 of my friends.
Thanks
We
for
do
playing
this
along,
again.
Marcella.
Margella, didn't you already invite 2 of your friends?
No. David left. He didn't get to do it because he had to get ready for work, and then Matt, he didn't get to join. But when he does this again, I'm gonna invite 2 of them and then see what they say.
have a good one.
I'm gonna drop.
Take it easy, Marcella. Let me let Saint Jarny in. Saint Jarny, I believe it is.
He doesn't even know what case he's talking about.
Greetings. Yeah, so I guess I'll address the topics on the table here.
Please do.
First and foremost, I think it's obvious. We for anyone who's been around watching in terms of talking about sprints in running, we all kind of know that the African has shown the winning in that. Then, if you get into longer run races, you do see a higher representation of white people. Less. I'm really not that interested in those statistics, though. Anyways, the other statistics would be like talking about intelligence. I would say academics. You have the Asians have been very prominently represented in that sense. As far as spirituality, this is where we get confrontational. I think that and I'll attach civilization to this, is the white race has been the most spiritual and civilized. Even though I know there's a lot of, and we can go into that. I'll step back now, and I'm sure there's a lot of pushback on that.
How are you defining civilized?
Just elaborate, I guess.
And also, like, civilized isn't in prompt, but how are you defining civilized?
So if you look at the vast amount of civilizations, I'll say when you have, by today's standards, we have working governments, we have medical systems, we have organized judicial branches, organized militaries. All this stuff has been pioneered largely by Europeans.
Okay, so you're not saying like civilized in actual culture and actually like humanity. You're just saying having a government.
Yeah, I'm talking about, like, when we think about civics, I'm gonna use civilized in that sense. So in like the civic sense.
Okay, I thought you were talking about sociologically.
No, just in the civic sense. So in this context, so now that we've defined that, I think it's pretty fair to say that, and even though people may not agree with it, I think it's pretty fair to say that the white race has done the most in that sense. So much so that even other races have adopted the achievements in that sector to use as their templates for their own civic programs.
It was forced on them, but sure.
It's not to say that they didn't have some programs at work, but I think it's pretty, obvious. Even like Parliament, like if you even look in Africa, they've adopted, and you can say, yeah, it's forced on them. That's a whole nother conversation. But they're adopting parliamentary schematics to operate.
But is that spiritual though? Like, is that equate to spirituality?
I would say why does it relate to spirituality is because when you start thinking about other people than yourself, because you have to have a society that has these infrastructures in place to start thinking about other people, and that takes millennia really to establish, and that's something that obviously I'm biased. You can tell I'm a white man, but if you would just hear me out, is we've established over the course of millennia from Europe into North America, also in Australia, other parts of the world, where the same kind of civic programs have been carried over to these places.
What does this have to do with spirituality?
Yeah, because
you have to you're caring about other people. So that's the point.
Spirituality.
You have to care about more than yourself. That's a spiritual tenet.
No.
And that's where we end up. Okay, then go ahead, define spirituality, please.
Yeah, we already did. It's just believing in a higher being.
So that's it.
Yeah, believing in something, believing in a higher power than yourself.
That's it.
Yeah, so we're talking about like religion, belief systems of like gods and deities and things like that.
So, in my view, for spirituality, it has to go. I agree with you in that sense, but it goes beyond that, and then you start caring about other people than yourself.
It doesn't necessitate caring about other people.
Well, pomegranate, technically spirituality isn't just about believing in a higher being. It's believing in about something higher than yourself. And it doesn't have to be... That's
literally what I just said.
I know. But what I'm trying to say is his idea for like helping others, that's believing in an idea bigger than yourself.
That's an idea, not a being.
I mean, because atheists can't...
That's what I'm saying. Spirituality is believing in a being higher than yourself, not just an ideology.
Then again, you can't technically just define spirituality because it's different for everybody else.
Well, no, there is a definition, and I don't. Everybody else.
Hold on one second, guys. Go ahead, Zay.
I think because an atheist can be like, yeah, I care for people outside myself, but they're not spiritual.
Right. Like this has nothing to do with caring about other people.
Okay, I want to let Zion into the game show. Zion, are you there?
Yeah.
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. What do you think about the questions, man?
I've been listening on to the arguments, but
okay. Rizzler, are you there, Rizzler?
I'm here.
Rizzler?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Rizzler, are you there, Rizzler?
Can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear him. He's here.
Okay. What do you think about the questions, man? And welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. First, I want to say, well, I can't pronounce his name. Jeremy was right about spirituality. That's the definition of spirituality. It's a broad thing. But what I think about the questions, I don't know. It's tough. What's the most intelligent? Probably. I mean, stereotypical, but I'd say probably Asian or white. For athletic, I would probably say maybe black. Um, Spiritual, probably white again. White or probably Arabic. Racist, I don't know. I think everyone can be racist. I wouldn't just put that on one group. And violent, probably Arabic.
Okay.
Go
So,
back to the spiritual. Like the spiritual has to be outside of the physical. You're reaching something outside of the physical.
okay, let's let Ryan into the conversation. Ryan, are you there? I'm sorry, Zion. Zion, are you there, Zion?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. What do you think about the questions?
I was agreeing with STJ about the spirituality concept, that it means more than just a higher being. I feel like it means like to believe in others, but I don't know though. That is my opinion on the take though.
Okay, but run down those questions for us. Who is the most intelligent, athletic, spiritual, violent, or racist?
Intelligent Asians, athletic. It would be African Americans, spiritual, probably Europeans, violent. I don't know for violent and racist, but for the top three, those are my top three for the.
You don't know for violent or racist.
No, I don't.
Where'd you grow up at, Zion?
Ohio.
Ohio. And you don't know about violent or racist in Ohio. Have you ever been to Rutland, Ohio, Zion?
See, it's Ohio, right? Ohio is a small part in the world, so I'm not gonna just base it off of something that's only in America. It's more countries.
Well, we're asking questions about your experience, Zion. It's about your experience, yeah? So, in your recollection, what's the most violent race and racist race?
The violent would be Africans, and then racist, Europeans.
Okay. All right. That wasn't so hard, right?
Zion, can I say I kind of agree on the Africans part, but I would say more African Americans than like Africans from Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to throw that out there. I know you probably meant that. I just wanted to get it cleared up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why I made it that broad, but I get what you're saying.
I mean, if you're talking about America, that's false. If you're talking about internationally, it's definitely false.
Well, what's false, Pomegranate?
The African Americans are the most violent, but this is also from his experience, which is probably just TV.
Yeah, well, get international. It's Arabs, like I said.
I do have some statistics on. This is just one group of statistics from the FBI. This is from 2023 in the United States per 100,000. This is per 100,000, and African Americans murder at a far significantly greater rate. It's at 4,500 plus, and the white is at 275. So that's
if we're talking about in general, white
well,
people.
I'm just trying to bring some facts.
I know I'm agreeing with you on the facts. So, well, I'm agreeing and disagreeing in one way. Well, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just adding something. But I agree with you. If you're talking about per capita, Black people commit the most crime in America. It depends. It depends on the crime. Only certain crimes, like robbery and I think aggravated. I think robbery and aggravated assault. Black people commit the most crime on per capita in America. But if we're talking about in general, just across the board, white people commit the most violent crimes in America.
Saint Johnny, can I ask you
I
a
don't know if
question?
that's
That's
true.
Saint
not that
Johnny, can I ask
compared
you a
at
question?
all,
Hold
actually.
on, guys.
You're
Hold
comparing
on, guys.
13% of the
Hold on, guys.
population versus
1 second, guys.
50%.
Saint Johnny, are you there,
That's why
Saint
I
Johnny?
use two different metrics.
One
Yes,
guy.
I'm
Yeah,
One
here.
second, guys.
that matters.
Saint Johnny, are you there?
Yes.
Why do you suppose that blacks or African Americans are so violent?
I think it is a propensity that's a genetic thing.
What?
Yeah, it's a
Hold on,
genetic.
hear him out.
It's a genetic disposition, and that goes back to my former points about the fact that they haven't been in civilization for the duration of time as the European has. And the European, so what happens, there's a tempering that happens when you're in a civil, it's a political, a theory on genetics, that is that when you're in a millennia in civilization, you're tempered. So you have impulse control to a greater extent because you're being controlled by your society in some ways. So there's that policing effect that ends up on a genetic level.
Okay, let me dance with you a little bit, Saint Johnny.
Black people have had
Hold on,
civilizations
pomegranate.
before.
Pomegranate. 1 second, pomegranate. Who would you say, Saint Johnny, is the first civilization? Where was the first civilization?
Well, it depends if you're talking about post the antediluvian, or sorry, post-diluvian, that is the flood. Then the
He said it's
most
the first.
well, it depends if you want to go back before that. But for
No,
the
we're
sake of
just talking about the
conversation,
first. Just the first.
the
Let's go back to
fertile
the beginning of time. What was
the
the first?
fertile crescent has been the point of interest.
What continent was the first civilization in?
The fertile crescent,
That's not a continent.
Fertile
that is
crescent is a
in
continent.
that is what's today as Iraq.
Okay, what is the continent?
Which is where Arabs come from.
Asia.
Are you speaking of Samaria, Saint
Yeah,
Johnny?
yeah.
Oh, why didn't you just say Samaria?
Well, I just wanted to say that today's they call it Iraq, but yes, the fertile crescent is how it was made known to me, at least.
So Samaria, to your best recollection, was the first civilization.
That's what's been taught, at least in the prevailing past few
Who
decades.
taught
Yes.
you that? Hold on.
Okay. LF, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. How are you?
Good, good. You?
I'm well. I'm well. What do you think about the questions, man?
You want me to answer like how Zion was too?
Yeah, run them down if you can.
Shit, intelligent, Asian, athletic, Africans, spiritual. I'll say Africans as well. I'm in New York. For the violent part, I gotta go with African Americans. Racist, same thing from my experience. African Americans as well.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you're on the East Coast of the United States. You live in New York.
Yep.
What borough are you from?
From the Bronx.
Okay, Boogie Down Bronx. And you say that the most racist is the African American.
In my experience, yeah.
Talk about your experience a little bit. What's happened?
I don't know. Like, I feel like it's mostly ignorance. I feel like getting called. Like, I'm Honduran. I'm Honduran.
Okay.
And you get stupid comments like, "Oh, like you get called Mexican," or
I see,
or Spic, or shit like that. Like it's mostly ignorance though. It's not like, oh, the Spanish dude. Like, it's like, I don't know. But I would say that because I haven't had no crazy experiences with like any other type of.
And you're getting this from the African American community, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, can I say something based off of what LF was saying?
Sure.
I can agree with that because, like, not as racist thing, but sometimes black people don't understand that what they say white people are doing to them, they turn around and do to other races. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
And then they have that stigma about like, oh, you can't be racist to white people when you can, in fact, be racist to white people because you can be racist to anybody.
Well, Superman,
And
let me dance with you on that just a second.
all right,
Racist, that word now, we know what xenophobia is, we know what
yeah,
prejudice is, but racism does have a definition. I'm an old man, that's why I get to be the host of this show. I'm very old. And from my recollection, racism, the definition comes from, or is that it's power times xenophobia or prejudice. Prejudice. It isn't just the fact that I don't like you because you're olive or pale skin. It's because I have power to enforce my dislike of you. That is the equation that makes racism. Does that make sense to you?
I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing is,
yeah.
the power isn't in the definition, but we do get that logical implication based off of how the word racism is constructed. We know that racism is a system and cannot be done upon somebody who is not a victim of that system.
I
So
think that's
I guess what
That's
I'm trying to say,
exactly what I'm
Superman.
talking about, though.
I guess what I'm trying to say, Superman, is that we can all have xenophobic tendencies or prejudices, but the racism comes into play when you have power to enact
Mm-hmm.
or to act on your xenophobia or your prejudice. So you cannot like me, but if you have no power, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. But if you have power and you don't like me because I'm red, then that becomes racism. Agreed?
Host,
Right.
I want to
Yeah,
push
yeah,
back
yeah.
on that aspect.
Yeah,
Where
can
do
I
you get
too?
that definition of the power aspect in that definition? Where are you getting that from the racism definition from?
From the way
That's
that the
the
word
definition.
racism is constructed.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the
I would
definition
argue
of
that the
racism.
Oxford Dictionary has no word of power in that definition. Period.
Yeah, that's literally what I just said, Stone.
So
I
if
said
I
it's
so
not.
if I
I
go
said
to
it's
like
not
an
in the
African
definition.
country and I
I
start
just said
yelling
it's
the
So,
N
not in
so
the
word,
we're
I wouldn't
adding
definition.
I
words
wouldn't
to
be racist.
definitions
One
now.
at a
Stone,
time,
I didn't
guys.
say I'm
One at a
adding
time,
words.
guys.
I
You are
literally
when you
just
say
said,
Wait,
no,
Kaya.
Stone. Stone, please calm down. Like I
I'm
said,
not
this is
crashing out.
not,
I'm
power
talking
is not in
normally.
the definition. It has never been in the definition. There are new definitions now. Or there are more than one definitions of racism. But in the standard definition that we use from Oxford, power is not in the definition. But
Yeah,
we get that power. That's why we have updated definitions and stuff.
Right.
We
So
get
that's
that.
why the point I
Hold
just
on,
made. You're
Stone.
changing the
Hold on,
definition. Is
Stone.
what I'm
Hold
saying.
on, Stone.
Yeah,
Hold
I
on. That's not
understand
even.
what you're
That's not
saying.
even the first. Oxford isn't even the first definition. So
It doesn't
calm
matter. It's
down.
what we use.
Hold on, Stone.
hold
The
on.
aspect
Please
Can
of
calm down.
power
We're
and what
having a
you're talking about
discussion.
is
Please
a
One
calm
at
new
a
down.
time,
definition.
guys.
It's not a
Stone,
new
let
Stone,
her
we're
I
having a
go.
wasn't even
definition.
discussion.
finished talking to the host before y'all
Stone, let
started
her.
just talking.
Stone,
We're
let her
having a
go, and then
discussion,
I'll come
Stone.
back to you, Stone, and then I'll come back to you, Superman. Go ahead, Pomegranate.
What I'm saying is, for one, Oxford isn't even the first definition. That's just the one that we widely accepted in America. So if we go off this definition, right, power is not within the definition, but we get that power, or we understand that it is power necessitated because the word racism is constructed in a way that necessitates power.
Go on, Stone Cold.
That's
Stone
how we
Cold.
make words. We construct them certain ways. That's how we come up with words.
Yeah,
But can I answer this real quick?
1 second, Whistler. We're gonna go in order. We're gonna go Stone Cold, Superman. Then I'll come to you. Go with Stone Cold.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but like I said from the beginning, you're just changing the definition aspect. The aspect of adding power into that the theory of racism is a newer aspect that it was never an older definition of racism. Adding power to that aspect, it is a newer thought process to that.
So let me
And what I'm
dance with you a
saying is,
little bit, Stone. Hold on, Pomegranate. Let me dance with you a little bit, Stone. How does racism become racism if you don't have power, though? Because I don't really care if someone doesn't like me because I'm green. Like, I don't care if you don't. But if you can stop me at a traffic stop for me being green, that becomes the problem. So, how is racism a thing or even viable if it doesn't have power?
If that green police officer stops you because you're green too, is he being racist? He has the power.
Oh, he could totally be racist, sure. He may not like himself.
No, he's green. So then we're not talking about racism at then right there. We're talking about classism almost at that point, then, aren't we?
No, that's not classism. Again, we're talking about
In
not liking.
a form of it, we are. You're saying that he has the power and you do not.
okay, that's a
Well, he
power.
has a
That's
Because now
gun. What I mean by power, hold on,
hold
guys.
on,
What I
Pomegranate.
mean by
What you're saying,
power
host,
is he
is
has a
just power.
gun. He has a gun, and I may not have a gun. I don't care if you're just a man versus a man. That's eye for an eye. But if you have a weapon that I don't have, that gives you power over me. That's what I'm talking about.
I understand, but you said that green officer can still be racist towards you because you're green too. That aspect of saying because he still has power
Because
over
the
that's
you.
not
green
true.
officer
But
may not like himself.
But that's not racism. That's anti-blackness. But Stone, we're saying, let's say you have a green police officer and you have a red person that's being stopped for whatever reason, their tags, whatever. Um, just there is a power imbalance there, no matter what. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this police officer is using that power imbalance to be racist. But racism will always necessitate that power imbalance. But not all power imbalances are racist.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's fine. I mean,
Superman, go on, Superman. You had something?
Yeah, before the whole racism debate, I was gonna tell you why I thought that black people were the most racist, like based off of my experiences. Because me personally, I'm half white, half black. My grandmother and her side of the family, they're Jamaican, right? And most of the stuff I've heard throughout my life from like the black side of my family is just how much dislike and like prejudice they have against other races. So that's why I was saying that, like, oh, that's why I thought that black people were racist. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, I would say we can be prejudiced to anybody except for whitey people.
All right, I want to weigh in on that last comment, Pomegranate.
Wrong. It's their wrong if they do it. If they do it, it's racist. If I do it, it's anti-black.
I didn't even say racist. I was talking about prejudice.
All right, Pomegranate. In order to,
the definition.
Your bias is screaming now. So
Well, no,
let's try to level the playing field a little bit here. If we want to talk about who the most prejudiced supremacist group on the face of the earth is, configuration is occurring,
You
and
dropped
what
out.
manifesto?
Saint, you dropped out. Go back a little bit. You dropped out. We couldn't hear you.
You can.
He's only got one bar.
Let's look over to the Middle East in the conflict on today, and let's see what manifesto the group has that is wreaking the most egregious havoc. That is the most prejudiced group on the face of the earth. Can you announce who they are?
The Arabs.
No.
That's not
No. Which conflict is?
It is.
Which conflict is occurring?
You're not understanding.
I completely understand.
Which
the Arab
race?
is not one of the 5 races.
Okay.
Which race is committing the most grievous act of in the Middle East today?
Saint,
and the United States is funding them.
Answer it for us. Go on, Saint.
In the Middle East, Asian people.
That's their ethnicity, not
this
race.
group. This
Asian
group has just recently.
Asian is a race, Stone.
The Jews.
In that aspect, we're not talking about it in that aspect, though.
There you go. Who said it? Someone said it. There you go. Yeah.
We didn't even
That's who the most supremacist. That's the most supremacist race on the face of the earth. And why?
What is it?
Because
I didn't get it.
Hear you.
Jews aren't even a race; they're an ethnicity. Like, what the fuck?
We can't hear if y'all talk at the same time. What are you saying? Who is it?
So the group has a manifesto that is in the Talmud. TALMUD.
What group are you saying is the most racist?
Saint, are you afraid to say Jews?
Okay, that's not a race.
There you go.
That's not a race.
There you go. Now, so if you look at the manifesto and that is outlined in the Talmud, and then you look at the behavior that's occurring today, then you will understand a new definition to what you were outlining earlier, Pomegranate, and that actually makes more sense.
Well, no, because Jewish would have nothing. Like, Jewish is not a race.
Yeah,
would you ask? Why don't you ask?
It's an ethno religion, which is
correct.
It's tied to a religion. Completely different.
Why don't you ask them? Why don't you ask them if they?
If you want to say that about the Talmud, you could say the same thing about the Quran. So, like, now you're bringing religion into the aspect.
Well, I'm saying there's an.
It is exactly what Stone just said.
There's a manifesto
to the region. They have ties to the region, but they practice Judaism. It's an ethnicity.
There's a manifesto that explicitly supports the action. And so,
Quran, dude, what the fuck are you?
White people as a group have multiple manifestos declaring.
We have no manifesto that says that.
Let me allow Greg in, guys. Hold on 1 second. Greg, welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. How are you?
Yeah, he's funny.
I'm doing well.
How you doing, man? What do you think about the questions?
Well, I'll answer them in my own opinion. I feel like there's a lot of nuance. A lot of people, the more you meet them, whatever they look like, you meet most of them. But if I had to be, which is the most intelligent race? Jesus. I think I want to. I want. It's hard for me to speak on intelligence. I want to speak on education. I think Asians are most educated. Like in my
Okay.
country, I can say from my country because I've seen geniuses of all races, but I can only really speak to the education level, and I've seen the Asians really take up education pretty quickly. I've seen other immigrants and other races do well, and I've seen geniuses of all colors, but I've seen Asians take up education just as a
You're in
focus,
America?
like a lot more quickly. Maybe what talk about computational ability, and yeah, athletic. Do I have to get into athletic?
Sure.
I think we all. I have to say because I said it for age. I have to say
Just
I
say it,
think
Greg.
I think when I look at the Olympics or the World Cup, I think Black people have the best expression athletically.
Okay.
Just able to, I would say overall, have achieved the most collective excellence as a race in athletics. That's the best way to put it. Spiritual, I would say as the three races here, I think Black people are more spiritual. Just because Black people tend to resist assimilation that doesn't align with their spirit and their certain values. You took Black people from Africa, right? Like during slavery, you put them in another country for 400 years, and they still speak and act in a way that people from that country, like centuries prior, can still resonate with. It's like a metaphysical connection type thing to the land. You have people over here, Black people who are 60% African can feel a connection to the motherland. I feel like that's a deeper level of spirituality and connection to the earth, the harmony between nature and metaphysical properties as well. I think, maybe certain cultural Asians aren't that far behind, but I do think Black people would probably be the most spiritual. As far as violent, oh man. I mean, if you look at the UFC, everyone's kind of, I don't want to say it was better at fighting. It seems pretty even Stevens. If you read about what the Japanese did to the Chinese, or what the Japanese did to the Chinese for the Americans to not allow them to have an army, it's some horrific stuff. You could talk about what happens in the urban ghettos of America with Black people, or in underdeveloped countries. Although we also use poverty as kind of a variable, but I mean, it's hard to kind of categorize, let's say, intercommunity violence against your own versus like world conquest. If you wage a war against every type of people on Earth, what does that say about your violent attitudes? Um, I
Mm.
think I think white we do have Genghis Khan. He that man was born thousands of years ago, and we know him for his brutality. But it's hard. I can't really ignore the conquistadors who were white Spaniards who came and essentially raped the continent of South America. How do you rape a continent? How do you turn a whole pure Native American into half people who we now call Hispanics? Just through conquest. That's pretty violent. Uh, I'd say white people have been the most successfully violent. I know a lot of people have different beliefs about collective. Yeah, we could say black people are violent, but if you put a black person around a bunch of white cops, 9 times out of 10 they'll be pretty close. So I think it's really circumstantial when it comes to violence. If I'm going to be honest. And as far as racist, um, yeah, I would say it's kind of the same thing, between black and white people. Like a black person will keep something local. With the violence is local, the prejudice is local. A white person will take it worldwide. A black person will say, "I want to fight this person." A white person will say, "Let's exterminate their race." Or even versus saying, "I don't like these people," versus concocting an entire scientific study on why these people are
Mm-hmm.
inferior to you. White people just kind of take it the next step. Even as far as saying, "Oh, me and my buddies don't like this group," versus forming a clan. I'm just using this in a general sense. Just forming a clan around racial superiority and protecting superiority of your race kind of goes to a very intellectual level of racism. We have people with PhDs in racism; they're all white. You can hate a people, but to devote centuries of your lineage to maintaining superiority of a group of people kind of redefines racism. I'm not gonna lie. I think white people, with how far they've taken the study of racism as an act, have redefined it time after time. Um, for me personally, I just recently learned from a book and a certain fine book called The Delectable Negro that cannibalism of black people took place during lynchings, and
Mhm.
on the white people invent hatred, but hatred on the basis of race, hatred on the basis of race, people have more innovations and hatred on the basis of race than a group could hope to possibly have. And as far as systematically, conquering people, I think kind of winning them. You can't have one without the other. When you go out and you conquer people, you can't say we're not racist because the entire mode of going out and deconstructing someone's indigenous culture and constructing your own is the basis of superiority and racism. You have to be the most racist to have had the success you had. So you're by far white people are by far the most racist. And it's not even close because you had the most success in deconstructing people's identities and forcing them to assimilate their own, which is it's a racism thing. What's it like?
Okay. Can I
Got
respond
it.
to that? Appreciate you, Greg. Sure. Rizzler, you go, and then I'm going to come to Infinite Mind. Go ahead, Rizzler.
Well, first you mentioned cannibalism. Like African tribes still like cannibalize people with albinoism
Is that
and
true?
white skin. And the only reason that you said you brought up conquest, well, that's just because Europeans could. If Africans could like conquer the entire world, I'm sure they would. Like the tribes would do that.
It's also the
Like
most
the
recent
Zulu,
too.
yeah, the Zulus. I mean, were what they could do. They conquered like most of South Africa. If they could go global with it, they would have conquered the entire world. So just because one race is better at it than others doesn't make that race more racist. And the
Well, wouldn't that
Moors,
make it more racist by definition?
well, I mean, just because they're more
It's
successful
the
at it.
basis of race. So you can conquer people your own race, but I would say you're correct that other groups do cannibalism, but I meant cannibalism during a racialized act like a lynching specifically. So I mean cannibalism on the basis of race, not necessarily white people didn't invent cannibalism. I even said white people did not invent any sort of hatred, but they did redefine hatred on the basis of race. So
And
white
also,
people made a lot of things that were
also
I mean have a lot of horrible things happen in history.
the
Huh?
Africans were not cannibalizing albino people. They were casting them out of their villages, whatever the case may be, and also doing sacrificial unalivings and cutting up their body parts, and then like keeping their body parts for good luck. But they were not
Well, I
cannibalizing
mean,
them.
there's so many
Like
tribes,
that's
so
any better?
Yeah,
Well, it's
I
not
didn't.
so
I didn't say it
Papua New
was
Guinea
better. I
they
was
also
just correcting
cannibalize.
something.
They
Like,
cannibalize white
so like I'm
people
saying, a
in
lot of
the
horrible
National
things.
Sea.
Oh, I thought you said albino people.
honestly, when
Well,
we
I'm
talk
talking about
about
nothing
the white
else.
people being so good at conquest, are we going to ignore the fact that Genghis Khan conquered more of the planet than any other
That's
any other
literally
conqueror?
what
I was gonna bring
Greg
that up,
literally
but I
brought
was
that up. Greg already said that.
Oh, well, we could expand more on this, and then you could argue that the Asians or more than anyone. Like,
Okay, so
But Genghis Khan,
this is Genghis Khan, even though
but he
he's
didn't
He
redefine
killed so many people that
hatred of race.
the global warming went down.
yeah, like seriously,
but that's not comparable
Yeah, that's
as a
my point. There
whole.
were other
how is it
brutal
not
people.
comparable as a whole?
I said it's not comparable as a whole. Like
No, no, I understand what
if
you're
you have
saying.
Genghis Khan, which has like the most lives under his belt, right?
But
Under
it's
his
not just
rule.
live; it's conquest because you bring up power
Stone.
too. Because you kept bringing up
We're
power
talking
earlier.
about unalivings right now. Hold on.
He had the
I
power,
can
and he was,
explain
he was
Hold on, Stone.
unalive. I'm using
Stone,
your
why do you keep
definition.
interrupting?
I'm using your definition
Stone, why do you keep interrupting?
because I'm talking.
You weren't talking though.
I can hear what you're saying, Stone. Like I brought up the point about Genghis Khan earlier, and I brought up the point specifically to say white people did not invent brutality. They did not invent all the horrible tragedies, but they did redefine making a horrible thing about race.
Oh, I
So
would
That
Genghis
was the
Khan
definitely.
killed
Moors.
a lot
The
of
Moors
I'll
did
give
that
you
people,
first.
that.
Who
but
were
he did
black.
not kill as many people like on the basis of race.
But that's my point of winning this trophy. If you're going to put violence towards white people, like they're not
What
at
do
the
you mean
top of the
towards white
list.
people? They weren't just violent towards white people.
No,
And we're not even talking about violence onto a specific group of people. We're talking about violence in general.
Oh, violence is close. I thought you
The
were talking about
trophy for
racism.
violent,
I'm saying
the white people would have to do the most violence.
Yeah, they
Yes.
do. They have.
That's see,
Stone
you're
Cold.
saying that. My point with Genghis Khan is to prove that that's not true.
Okay,
Stone
so
Cold.
that's
There's a lot of
exactly what I was
comparable.
trying to explain to you, Stone.
No,
If
you
Genghis
literally
Khan,
just said the
Stone,
opposite.
I didn't even finish my sentence because you
Yes,
interrupted
you
me.
literally stopped talking. That's when I started
No,
talking.
I didn't. I was still speaking and you interrupted me. And then I said, why do you keep interrupting me?
Oh my.
Okay, so if I said if Genghis Khan has this many notches under their belt, this many lives, whatever the case may be, more than any other type of conquest across the board, that still does not mean that as a whole Asian people have done more violence than white people as a whole, because they have not.
Based off of what metric then?
Could I
I
respond to
just
that?
said violence as a whole.
As a whole,
Because
he
I'm the
literally
one who brought
conquered
the
most
point.
of the fucking planet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just want to bring
Y'all
that up.
did.
I just want to
Correct.
bring that up.
No, not y'all.
Yeah, I just want to bring that up.
I'm not going to get into that with you because you don't know me.
Go on, Greg. Go on,
Okay.
Greg.
Again,
Yeah,
because they were able
I just
to.
want to explain. I just want to explain. You have to understand. White people got better at warfare. All the global conquest didn't necessarily start with the globe. It started with European nations warring with each other for 100 years, developing superior battle tactics from trying to conquer each other consistently over and over and over and over, and probably having the most detailed of worldwide battles just within that region, which is where the firearms started to come up. The Chinese invented
The Asians invented
gunpowder, but were the first to really develop firearms, and that's from consistent warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my
Yep.
thing would be to say, well, when I said white people are the most successfully violent, I said that I'm basically saying the type of success and conquest that white people have enjoyed require for a longer period of time requires more violence and has required more violence across the globe. Just the
Can I add
basic
something real
violence
quick,
required
host?
to develop superior weapons to the people you've conquered required hundreds of years of violence. The medieval
Once again,
period,
I'm going to throw recency
it
bias.
just
Yeah.
requires more violence.
Can I add something to Greg real quick, host?
Go on, and then I want to go to Infinite Mind. Go on.
Yes. I agree with everything he said, and also the way that I think about the violence thing is not only like across the board, like wars, conquest, ethnic cleansing that white people have done throughout history, all of that. I'm also thinking about the creativity of violence. Like I have never seen such creativity from any group of people that I've seen from white people when it comes to violence, the torture methods, the torture devices, the way that, like he said, they experimented on people that they believed were inferior to them. It's kind of insane.
All right, let me go to
Did you
Infinite
know what
Mind
the
really
Africans
quick.
did
I'm
and
gonna
the
let
Asians did? The same
we'll
thing?
go back to the general conversation, you guys. Infinite Mind, are you there?
Yes, sir. Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to the first annual Race Supremacy Awards. How are you?
I'm great. Greetings to everybody else as well. Hope
Yeah, man.
everyone's having a good day.
Oh yeah, we're having a good conversation. So, what do you think about the questions, man?
So this is my take on what you have up there is that I look at it. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna address everything else. I'm gonna set race aside. I'm gonna deal with that separate, but because I think that deserves to be dealt with separately. But what I see when I look at these categories, right, is that when you look at things like intelligence, athleticism, spirituality, violence, what you're looking at is you're looking at potential. You're looking at human potential, because everyone who's classified as a human possesses the potential to express themselves in all of those ways, right? And when you talk about, so when you talk about the expression of potential, the only way to get an accurate measurement of potential is to put all these different demographics and groups of people on an equal playing field, which would allow the expression of these expressions to come to the surface. That's the only way. That's the only way that you would get a true accurate measurement. Because right now we don't have that. So I mean, I know we want to, based on observation, we would like to say certain things that this group dominates this group dominates that. But in order to get an accurate measurement, that's what you would have to do. And right now, we just don't have that. So point in case is like the Asians. Asians traditionally always get the award when it comes to intelligence, specifically intellectual and academic intelligence. They always seem to get the award in that category. It's been that way for a long time. At one time, I thought that way too when I was growing up and I was in school, and I had Asian classmates and stuff, and I used to think that I was like, man, are they like really special when it comes to intelligence, because they always seem to excel. They're always at the top of the class academically, always, always, always. But later on, I observed a little deeper, and I said, no, it isn't that they possess more inherent potential as far as intelligence. What it actually is that traditionally and generally speaking, Asians come from an environment where they have it's being cultivated, the potential for them to express themselves, their highest form of intelligence is being cultivated within their environment. That's what it actually is. Versus America, America is completely the opposite. Generally speaking, America is completely the opposite when it comes to that type of cultivation. There is no cultivation of that in America for the most part. America is on the opposite end of the spectrum. America is a very distracted, undisciplined nation when it comes to those type of things. Where right now, you can look on there's videos that you can pull up right on this platform where it shows Asian schools, right? And they'll show them participating in different activities, and they look like they're elementary age school students, and they're participating in activities like where they're in group activities where they're outside and they're doing all type of sporting activities and things to deal with athleticism and coordination, and they're doing it in unison. And it really shows that, I'm like, man, if we had that in America, if American school systems worked that way, we would have a different outcome in America. But if you see it, it's amazing to see it, because I'm like, but they're doing things that foster the growth of, expansion of their intelligence and their mind, their brain body coordination and group all this. But what I'm saying is that when you see it, you can see that it fosters these type of things. It cultivates the expression of these type of things. So when you have a nation, a people where you have that going on, and then when they migrate over to America and they insert themselves in our infrastructure, the education and stuff like that, they're going to look like gods compared to what we have in America. They're going to look like gods academically and intelligently. If you see what I'm saying, because they're bringing that cultivation with them, and I think that's what we're really seeing in regards to that. But now let me switch over to racism. I have a whole different take on racism than most people. So with racism, how do I want to say this? With racism, first off, my definition of racism is completely different than the traditional modern day accepted definition. Most people perceive racism as having to do with skin color. And I say that it has nothing to do with skin color. It can involve skin color and based on the situation, and obviously in some situations it does. But by the true definition, by my definition of it, has nothing to do with skin color. And the reason is because when you talk about race, the root word of racism is race. And the true definition of race, before the social construct definition came about, that was manufactured to foster a certain narrative. But before that became a thing, the true definition of race was a competition-based activity. And it still means that till this very day. That's the real definition of the word race. Somebody else applied that to people and skin color because they wanted to push a narrative of division, right? But it means competition. So any group can compete against any other group, and that would technically constitute racism. You see what I'm saying? But that's the true definition of race. Now, of course, you can apply we do have a situation now where they have manufactured scenarios, social scenarios, where you have competition of resources and economics where different skin colors appear to be competing against each other. But you have to bear in mind that was a manufactured situation. Somebody behind the scenes manufactured the situation. And furthermore, when you look at racism, you're looking at it's just like a board game right? And in any board game, you have to have pieces on the board. And if racism is a board game, the pieces on the board would be black and white, just like a chessboard, right? So the game doesn't work without its pieces, and the purpose of its pieces is to be played. So what they had to do is they had to create the game, which is race and racism. Then they had to create the pieces, which would be black and white pieces. And then they had to convince people, which are not black and white, because there's no black or white people, right? They had to convince people, specifically these two groups of people, because you had other so-called races too, but the most of the tension always seems to surround so-called black and white. So for the example, I'm going to use so-called black and white. They had to convince two different shades of skin of people to convince them to believe that they were black or white, right? So that they could become the game board pieces. And now they got you. Now they have you on the board, so you could be played in their perpetual game of racism. So this is what we're really looking at. So if you want to eradicate racism, you have to tear down the game. You have to the first thing you have to do.
Infinite Mind, 1 second. You've broken our game. You've broken our award show. We don't have an award to hand out now. You have won the entire game show. That dissertation was the best of the day. Because I'm the host, I get to hand out the winner. And the winner is Infinite Mind, ladies and gentlemen. I think he should deserve applause. It was the most powerful dissertation of the day. It wasn't laden with any type of prejudice. It was what it was, and I appreciate it for what it was. On that note, Infinite Mind, Saint Jarny, Greg, Pomegranate, you were great too. Greg, you also were stone cold. I totally appreciate your position and dissertation. Rizzler, we heard from you. We didn't hear much, but I heard you too. Superman, your take was also appreciated. But we're going to shut down the show on that because on the West Coast, it's breakfast. And the host has to eat. Yeah? But I appreciate you all for participating in the first annual Race Supremacy Award. Now, we will come back again with the topic because it's a juicy one. Yeah, it's a little clickbaitish, but it's a juicy one, and it gets us down to the nitty gritty. And at the end of the day, we are all one. Fortunately and unfortunately, we are. You know, Infinite Mind just really put a stamp on today's show, and that's why I'm stopping the show right here because he gave the best dissertation that all three races that are up there can stand behind. And as he said, there really isn't any race. It was a made-up construct. He's correct, and we're going to land on that. So, again, thank you all for being here. Please, if you haven't, follow the channel. And when you see us go live again, please come back and give your point of view and your opinion. Yeah?
Appreciate it, host.
Appreciate you, Stone Cold.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then.
All right,
have a good day.
Greg, thank you, Greg.
No problem. You have a good one, man.
Infinite Mind, you did
Yes,
your
sir.
thing as usual.
All right, all right.
You won the game show. You won the Race Supremacy Award. Yes, sir. You did it. You know, feel confident.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All righty.